The kind of stuff we're starting to look into.
I would hope so.
I think we would be shooting like 2042, 24, somewhere in there.
Before I don't remember that.
With,
So this might be
going else, I've never been to Europe to see.
Yes.
their stuff, but, you know,
These are, we saw these before.
Yeah.
They have turned down. But it's so wide open that it does not feel. Yeah, we're. White faced, there's like. Like, wide is this room in some area, you know what I mean, like it's so different. in
Yeah.
that regard.
You were gonna be.
Yeah.
I know it's not the same standards. as-
What's like all sorts of land, right? You have the east land, you have unit management plans, which you have to. You know, we have, they count like tree by tree, like tit for
Rick,
tat.
can you hear us?
You're gonna clear that tree, you gotta plant one over here.
He's on mute.
We're hearing you.
It's very highly regulated, so it takes years.
You're
to-
welcome to
Yeah.
unmute if you want.
Or the
And
persons at the top of themselves.
If no, we have a protected species that
Protected species.
habitat something.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
okay, Jim, I'm up and running.
We're general.
Okay.
Scott, they're on.
I'm so excited for
Okay.
it.
And looking,
They can have this for a year now or whatever.
An empty lot.
when we get to the regular meeting, I'll just need to check back for Matt and Polito. If you guys can remember.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
And I'm gonna unpause recording. And when you're ready.
So it is 5:30. I guess we can start the pre-meeting. We do have one application item, which is returning business for the Dollar General application 2408. That had a written summary.
Yes, I do. And just, so this is, this review is proposed to be a detailed review for this application. And we do have a public hearing scheduled for this, this meeting. And then following the public hearing, depending on the board's comfort level, there's a proposed seeker determination and the reading of the short environmental assessment form part 2 to assist with that. And then a motion to accept the detailed site plan with conditions. So that's the agenda. In a nutshell, we can discuss other business as well later on. And the meeting packet that you all have contains the planning board minutes from last meeting. I realize that we haven't been carrying out the minutes from past meetings, so this is a trial. And any board feedback is welcome on this. These minutes are particularly pertinent because we had such an extensive conversation on this application last meeting, so the minutes essentially pertain to the application. And were shared out, are always shared out with the applicants after the meeting. After the minutes, we have the staff report, standard to all staff reports. This has been updated since the last meeting, which was February 25th. And again, what I tried to do was continue on and build off previous comments, but I grade back previous comments that had been met, appear to have been met, and bolded additional comments or additions to this. So going through the staff report, we have the, see, under seeker, it's not standing out to me. Maybe it will stand out to you right now. But we did receive a SHPO response back. I had referred the application out to SHPO because the project falls within an archaeological buffer area. And just for safekeeping, and because it was included in past staff comments, I referred it to SHPO just to to clear all bases, and SHPO did not have any major findings, but they did have a recommendation with their comment. It is the opinion of Orva that the proposed development will have no adverse impacts on historic resources with the following condition: maintain or augment vegetative buffers around the perimeter of the parcel for visual screening, which essentially is already being proposed. So I didn't see that there was any major, that wasn't super additive, but it was a base that is covered. The next update is under the zoning table. The applicant did run the parking calculations based on the proposed building usage, square footage, and came out to a calculation that would require 39 parking spaces, and cleared that calculation with the building inspector's office and got confirmation on that. So there is no expected deficiency for the required number or number of supplied parking spaces. Under department review comments for DPW, all of their comments are satisfied, and I just added that the applicant is continuing to work with New York State DOT on their comments. There was from our last, and then under building inspector, reiteration of the confirmation of the number of parking spaces required. And then 911 office, there was some back and forth regarding the actual road name that this property fronts on. So I did receive confirmation from DOT that they recognize that roadway as US 9, while the county 911 office recognizes the portion of the roadway that's outside of the city boundary as Route 9, and then that portion, those portions of the roadway within the city boundary as US Ave. So, and so I relayed this information back to the applicant. You will notice on the front page of the plans that the naming is slightly off for the roadway for the proposed address. So that is included in the staff recommendations for conditions of approval to revise the detail of that and to ensure that the road naming throughout the plan set is consistent.
So which one are they supposed to pick?
Essentially, it all depends on,
If they want the ambulance to come?
it's a drafting exercise. They're supposed to go, it's recommended that they adhere to the requested 911 address. So the 4761 Route 9. And then when labeling the roadway on the plans for the areas outside of the city boundary, that would be US 9 and / Route 9, and then within the boundary would continue to US Ave.
I get what you're
If that
saying.
makes sense.
Yes.
There will be some finessing, I'm sure, with that. But I think at the end of the day, the names just should not be combined to ensure clarity, the greatest clarity possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, it did get a bit more complicated than I expected. But I think that we've received the confirmations we needed on that meeting. And then jumping into planning staff comments. Again, we received, well, the first comment is it's recommended that any approval of the detailed preliminary plan is conditioned upon the satisfaction of review comments provided by other city departments, third-party agencies, SHPO, and New York State DOT. So that's just kind of a standard comment. Number two, this, updating the legend that appears to have been met. And that's been an ongoing exercise through, plan revisions. The next one, the applicant has updated the parking spaces, so there's no deficiency anymore. Down to number 6, it's recommended that New York State DOT approve approval of the detailed plans be provided as a condition of approval of the site plan. So the applicant is still working through to receive, respond fully to New York State DOT comments and or receive confirmation back from them. But it's recommended that the applicant actually receive their approval as a condition of the technical approval of the overall site plan proposal. Number 9, it's recommended that the planting zone for the city of Plattsburgh is listed along with the zone tolerance for each proposed species. So the planting zones the landscape plan has been updated to provide the planting zones. The tolerance for each of the species has not been listed. And then on the landscaping plan, it is also, there's a revision to propose 3 different seed mixes to be used along the drainage basin areas to provide additional vegetation and growth around those areas. So it's recommended that the species within those mixes and the zone tolerance is also called out accordingly. Number 11, it's recommended that approval of the detailed plans is conditioned again on confirmation of New York State DOT for that portion of work that may fall directly within their right of way purview, within their jurisdiction purview. Down to 13, the lighting plan was further revised to provide additional lights on the north side of the building to illuminate the exit and walkway. So if you recall in the last meeting, there was quite a bit of discussion about the interior layout showing an exit on the north side of the building, but there was no walkway or lighting. And so that the lighting and a walkway have been provided, and then in the regular plans carried through to the lighting plans with an updated photogrammatic layout. And then additional note added to the light details to confirm that the lights will be dark sky compliant. So the lighting plan does now appear to be complete. Um, 15 is regarding waste collection and a request by the planning board for the applicant to see if they could use more resilient, aesthetically pleasing fence material. So the applicant has responded to that to provide a wooden, a proposed wooden fence in the fence detail. However, it's recommended that along with that be updated because vinyl fencing is still included in the detail note. 16, truck maneuverability has been added back for deliveries. And while the maneuvering appears to work and be sufficient, it is it appears very as a very tight turn for trucks to pull off of Route 9 onto the site. But the applicant has added a note to the site plan stating that deliveries will happen outside of store hours. Seventeen, provides that a portable bike rack has been added to the site plan as well. It's recommended that the proposed bike rack actually be a permanent rack and anchored to the ground to ensure its permanence. And then everything else appears to be met for this kind of a repeat comment. Any questions on the staff reports or should I let you digest it a little bit longer?
At the end of the last meeting, Jim, I think you had brought up that there were some things that were gonna be in play with our review along with the
Subdivision?
either the subdivision review or that they were gonna need a variance.
I think staff looked at that a little further and had an update on that.
Okay.
In reference to the northern property line and the,
So we had
I think it was
discussed that.
mostly like timing, right? Cause there was like, you're gonna need an okay from us and then back to the zoning board and then back to us.
I don't think we need, I don't
We
think.
don't need that.
I don't think the zoning board is involved. I think they're
Okay,
gonna
good.
just asked about interpretation. It
Okay.
sounds like that's not an issue and that it's just a standard subdivision application, which has been submitted.
it happens. We're just waiting on final details and affidavit for receivability and maybe one other thing. But, yeah. Yeah, so I did receive a confirmation from our council attorney. That a subdivision. Application approval is not required.
Okay.
As part of this process. Mostly because it isn't an encumbrance by this property owner, by
Yeah.
the subject property. It's an encumbrance from the
The
neighboring,
neighbor.
the
Yeah.
adjoining property.
Okay.
But I do understand that it will be a requirement of the sale of the property to clear that property line issue up, so. It is in the interest, I believe, of the applicants and the existing property owners to have the subdivision application approved
Yeah.
as quickly. Move through the review process and receive approval as quickly as possible. Okay.
And then it sounds like it is typical, I mean, just because you've got the language in here to be saying, this board can give a conditional approval. Provided that the DOT approves of whatever conditions they have as well, so as long as there's not. I guess I'm trying to ask, would there be any adverse conditions that could come out of that DOT report? That would bring it back in front of the board again? I don't know if there's an answer to that, but.
I believe we've received all of the DOT's comments.
Yeah.
On this proposal, it's just a matter of the applicant receiving DOT's response and then,
Relay,
yeah,
okay,
relaying. And it looks like Rick has his hand up. I'm not sure how long your hand has been up, Rick.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Excellent. Two things. One, we also had an extensive conversation regarding the emergency exits that were on the plan. I see, at least through the file, the emergency exits still are identified on the building layout. Has that been addressed in any new plans that have been submitted? As question one.
So the exits are at the southwest corner and the northwest corner, correct?
Correct.
And so there were no updates to the southwest corner, but to the northwest corner, as I covered a little bit ago, there is a sidewalk added alongside the building and exterior lighting.
Okay.
And then the lighting, the photogrammatic layout was updated, the lighting, the entire lighting plan updated in response. Does that help?
That helps and that addressed my actual concern. The other thing that I'd like to talk about, the dumpster enclosure, as a conditional approval, I would like to see that enclosure be extended to not only contain the dumpster, but contain those rolling carts, all the cardboard and recyclables that seems to get stored on those carts and get rolled out into the driveways and parking areas. So I think that if we at minimum require the enclosure of those things, then we give the ability for the enforcement personnel to go on site if the site gets unkept on the basis of carts being rolled around into areas they shouldn't be. And quite frankly, they look unkept in other places. And I think as a means to keep the tidiness of the neighborhood, we should at least discuss the expanding the containment area so that these carts are contained and the recyclables are contained in that area as well.
And Rick, I did save your pictures to the admin file, but I also included them at the end of my PowerPoint.
Okay.
I didn't add any additional staff recommendations for that specific topic because I felt it should be up to the board discussion.
Yes. I wanted the other members of the board to at least hear what I'm intending to propose. And as I said, it can be a conditional approval, but I think it needs to be addressed. And I think if this small modification to the site will help maintain the intent of the proposal, then I think it's worth discussing. So I'll leave it to everyone else to join if it's a concern to me after seeing various Dollar General sites. And it's quite common to see what I've taken pictures of in other areas.
And if everybody would like, I can bring those to the job.
Good
Have
timing.
to share this. Yep. Full screen this, I think, or at least. Sorry. Not doing this every day. Enrichment.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Rick, can you see that?
Yes, I can.
I don't think it's a big deal. I'm just trying to see what they're thinking.
Yeah.
It's-
I was an engineer, just still another project.
There.
Yeah.
Everybody see that?
Yeah, can you just drag up where the name is and then the source says March PB, yeah, that's a little bigger, perfect, thanks.
What are we looking at there? Sorry to.
So Rick, can you see these enough to describe?
I can. This is the South Catherine Street Dollar General site. The only required visual enclosure is of the dumpster.
Yeah.
Outside of that dumpster, you see carts with recyclables all over. The carts in this case seem to be at least in line, but it's as part of the site plan review, I think I don't think they're intended to store recyclables, nor is the required garbage containment area. It shouldn't be the picturesque view of a residential property next to it that it happened to turn into. So my proposal would be to at least extend the containment area and have that be screened as well. Whatever materials you deem necessary to achieve that, just as with the dumpster, then I don't care as much about that as I do what it's blocking.
Is the enclosure there like that brown metal panel? That's the fencing material, and like the door is a gate that's open that you see the white on the inside, and then there are those shopping carts that are consolidated?
No, those are carts that they empty the trucks on those carts
Ah,
and they bring them inside, they take them off, they take the product off, they put them on the shelves, they take the empty boxes, keep them on the carts and
okay, so it's part
store
of,
them out there.
yeah, loading and unloading process.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a little mini Home Depot lot or something. All the,
Yeah, unfortunately, that stuff gets blown around and
Yeah.
they said in this picture, they're at least organized. That is not typical of what you would see in some of these locations. And I think as a preventative measure, it should be contained.
well, and you would think having those carts in an enclosed area would also keep anyone from messing with them or stealing one, or, as part of their stock or equipment, right?
Yeah, I think to add to my concern is that, we have the ability in the site development to require these things, but we don't have the ability to go beyond the site requirement. So I think if we establish the intended enclosure, then other agencies that have enforcement authority will have the ability to require them to utilize it.
I think those are good thoughts. Thanks for sharing the photos.
You're welcome. I'm gonna go back into silence now, okay?
You want to bug you with two other questions that I think point kind of toward each other. So you got the EAF mapper summary report
Yep.
in here as well. I think that's largely in relation to the wetlands or other regulated water bodies. Because that is listed as a yes on here.
It is, and I actually ran through this exercise independent
Okay,
on my own.
Yeah.
And it came up, so it. I think it's just because of the proximity,
to the lake. Okay,
that's, yeah. I couldn't find where it came up anywhere else.
okay.
But
That's what I figured. Is
Yeah.
that similar? Have you seen stuff like that around the lake before? If you've seen
That
it
it'll show
develop?
up as.
It'll show up as a wetland or something?
Yeah.
Okay, that
Yes.
makes sense.
mhm,
And then
And then-
the other one was just a inconsistency, because I think the size of the lot disturbed has changed as we've seen this. So I think the first time they said it was under an acre. The next time they said it was over an acre, and this time it's back under an acre of disturbed.
This isn't a new, and so that, this is not an updated short.
Okay. That's helpful. Okay, got it.
So that is important to know.
Because that changes which
Perfect.
seeker you use, right?
What was that?
Does that change which seeker you use, or does it just change their stormwater plan?
It, neither,
Okay,
but it does. Technically, it should probably be updated on this form. So the stormwater plan has been modified
okay,
to have the correct
over an
acreage.
acre, okay,
The SWIP has as well, that's why it went towards the SWIP. And.
got it. So the SWIP in place of
mhm.
like a lesser version, okay,
Right, and it's still, it falls to an unlisted action because of the size of the development,
still smaller,
We
okay,
still have the seeker review to adopt
correct?
tonight, so we can. Through the applicant's presentation, recognize any changes or updates that may be required during the review.
Correct.
just looking for landmines.
Yeah, good catch, Tom, thank you.
Yeah, no, I just,
It's been a while since we've.
no, and I don't mean to make this like a typo hunt, it's just like want to make sure I'm not missing anything in the process.
It's okay, I have another couple things to address also.
Okay,
Typo wise. With that said, it is 6:03. So we will have opportunity to ask further questions then after application is presented and we can discuss further. So with that said, move to open the planning board meeting for February 24th, 2025. We do have a full board presence. If we can all rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Rick, are you gonna do it at home? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I can get a roll call, please.
McDowell,
Yes.
Rick Perry,
Yes,
Abby Musser, yes, Tom Cosgrove,
yes,
Carly Leary, yes.
Thank you. So we do have one application item, planning board application 24-08. This is a returning application for Dollar General US Avenue new construction 2024. Staff has a general presentation on updates.
Yep. Thank you. The planning board has a packet in front of them, which we did go over in pre-meeting, and I have prepared a corresponding presentation that I'll go through. And this is for planning board application 24-08 for the detailed review. And I just want to note also that we have applicant representatives here in person and online with us. Matt Upolito is online. And he's an attendee, and I'll move him to panelist after the presentation. And then we also have Aaron Jarvis of Tisdale Associates, who's the design engineer for this project. So again, got a full screen, just moving things around a little bit. 24-08, a site plan review. This is the detailed review for Toledo Development Group Site Plan 2024 along US Ave. The request is to build a 10,640 square foot single story retail store with on-site parking located at US Ave. Tax map number 221.20-1-14. The parcel is zoned B2 The current owners are Peter Whiteback, John Murphy, and Trade Group Properties LLC. There is a notice of permitting rights assigned to Toledo Development Group LLC, which is Gary and Matthew Toledo. The plan preparer, Aaron Jarvis, is here in person with us from Tisdale Associates. And then many of the slides that I have are a bit of review. This is an overview of the site. Again, it's B2 zoning right along the town line. Adjacent town zoning. Photos of the frontage along the property from US Ave, which is also Route 9 and US 9. The cover of the most updated version, revised version of the plan set dated March 12th, 2025. So just a minor revision is recommended here. And then we hop into the existing site. Nothing has changed in this first page. C100. Great. Just trying to make sure, with the exception of the zoning information table, the updated number of parking spaces required was provided. And then on this sheet, actually, it's too small for me to see, but there's a concrete landing and walkway that's provided along the north side of the building. Temporary, a portable bike rack is provided in front of the building, which would be Looker's right. You can see that. There has been a modification to the property line depiction on the along the northern property line to show that the potential future subdivision where that line would be, but the existing northern property line is now depicted again. And then you'll see the delivery truck maneuverability overlaid on this plan again as well. And then the next sheet is layout with dimensions. There weren't any revisions to this that stood out that haven't already been covered. This is the enlarged grading plan on the east side of the building. Again, no revisions that have not already been called out. West side of the building, same. This is the profiles for water and sanitary sewer and drive entrance. There were previous updates to this back in February, based on DOT comments, but nothing for this revision. And then soil erosion and sediment control plan, again, no changes on this. Erosion control details, no changes. Construction details, those remain the same. And then the second sheet for the construction details, C109, has the fence detail for the enclosure, the receptacle enclosure. It's proposing a 6-foot high wooden wood screening fence. And then below that is the note for vinyl fencing. So there's a recommendation that the note is updated to match the proposed material. No updates to these two sheets. And then here's the lighting plan, E100. So the fixture schedule does have a couple of notes on the right-hand side. For the fixture symbol A, there's a note to that it will be complete with PAPCO catalog number. And I can't read that entire number right now. But so that there's a shield added to that, and it will be dark sky compliant. And fixture symbol B will also be dark sky compliant. And then additional fixtures were added to the north side of the building. To provide lighting for that emergency exit, and those are the B fixtures. So essentially accent perimeter lighting. And the entire photogrammatic layout was updated to incorporate those additional lights. The detail sheets have not changed. And then we have an landscaping plan. I do want to note that the plan date on this has not changed from October 15th, 2024, and there is not a revised date added. But revisions have been incorporated to provide the USDA zone range and the zone for the project. So I stand corrected on that. And then additional seed mixes are proposed for including Long Pennington Smart Seed, Sun and Shade, that's one mix, New England West mix, and New England Erosion Control Restoration no-mo mix. And those are being applied, they're added to the legend over on the right-hand side of the plan. And then incorporated in the plan along the drainage basins. And called out with leaders.
You did correct, they did note that they made response to comments on 310.5. You did catch that, right?
Yes.
That's what I thought, okay,
I didn't catch it before I can.
okay,
Discuss.
Can I point out something?
thank you.
Under general notes, you still have Ellington, Connecticut. In the state of Connecticut. I'm not judging you. There's a lot of you're putting on here. I'm just letting you know. Might need to say Plattsburgh.
Where?
Under your general notes. So
We didn't provide this separate landscape architect, so.
you can yell at them. You can pass it along.
And then the elevations, the site elevations have remained the same, no changes there. And no changes to the layout, the interior layout. And these are the existing pictures of another Dollar General store that had been provided previously for the signage and proposed material colors. Signage detail sheets, no updates here. And then department and agency review comments. For DPW, the only remaining comment is just that the applicant is working to comply with New York State DOT comments. MLD comments appear to be satisfied. Building inspector, they approved the parking calculation. So their comments are all appear to be satisfied. Town of Plattsburgh's comments also satisfied. 911 office for addressing. The address still needs to be revised to read 4761 Route 9 versus 476 or 4761 US Ave or US Route 9. So it just should, the route should just read Route 9 for the address portion of that.
And the next property to the north is US Ave.
That will be US Ave.
So it's-
That's so, and Kelly Donahue, who oversees the addressing designations, is using Nevada Ave as the cutoff point for that. So he and has requested that the city place an entrance sign so that when you cross the boundary.
and then that address does not create any other issues.
Apparently not,
Okay.
yeah. He's thoroughly thought this through. And I don't believe it should. So, but it is to the, discretion of 911 addressing because they're in direct coordination with the county OEM.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a review to confirm that the stormwater pollution prevention plan was accepted and received satisfactory review from CAS, third party. And then these are New York State DOT comments. I left these in from last time, so there have been no new updates from New York State DOT since the applicant submitted their hydraulic analysis to the DOT. And for the planning staff review, it's recommended that the applicant satisfy department comments, continue to coordinate and receive approval from New York State DOT, which they're in the process of. The lighting plan appears to be complete. The depicted delivery location and the access has been revised to provide for the maneuverability with a note regarding delivery times that they'll be out of after store hours. For the pedestrian and bicycle access, the applicant has provided a portable bike rack, but it's recommended that the rack be a stationary rack for permanence. And let me see if I can. And then there's just some minor edits recommended for the applicant to refine and clarify the site plan details. And then in the pre-meeting, we discussed these two pictures that were provided by Rick Perry, member of planning board, who is virtual with us tonight, for the planning board's consideration of the proposed recommendation to expand the enclosure. So the enclosure area to incorporate space for the additional parts. And with that, that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all. And I'm gonna move Matt Uccolito over to a panelist so he can be
Okay.
available to speak.
Okay.
And I'll hand it back to you, Jim.
Thank you. This will submit, Mr. Jarvis, you have the opportunity to the floor.
Oh, so we've met on this a number of times before, so I don't think there's too much new for you. Just a couple things I wanted to update you on. We will get this 911 address squared away one of these days. Apologize. Still doesn't make sense to me that the entire site is in the city, but there, yeah, I think the address would be USF, but okay, we'll get her. The bike rack. So it's called a portable bike rack, but it has cabs to be bolted down. Typically, a permanent bike rack is one that's like set into a foundation. The portability allows you to move it later if you decide it's not where you want it. So that's why it's a portable bike rack, but it can be bolted down. So.
Permanently fixed portable bike rack.
Right.
There you go.
I mean.
Yeah.
It's one of those. If you set it in concrete, then you want to change it later, it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
So. Yes, we will change the vinyl note on the enclosure. Apparently, we just forgot to delete that. And DOT, like Alicia said, we sent everything to them in February and we're still waiting. But my experience with them on the hydraulics side, we have 2 other projects where we've submitted hydraulic calculations and they're 2 to 3 months. So it could be long. That's about all I can tell you. If it is a stack of documents about that goes to them. So. Then I guess other than that, I'm just here to answer any questions and if Matt has anything to add. I know we can talk, you want to talk about the dumpster, sure.
Yeah, if I may, Matt Uccolito, sorry, I'm on Zoom. I apologize, I couldn't be there. I got called out to reserve duty in Ohio last minute. But I apologize for the Ellington note. That's embarrassing. We'll make sure that gets taken care of. And I caught the discussion on the dumpster enclosure. We have in the past, and we can make that larger to fit what they call the roll containers, which exactly as was described, those hold they bring the goods in and they hold the cardboard for recycling after the product's unloaded. But we could extend that, the majority of the way on that concrete pad, however long you'd like it to be. Usually it's an additional 10 to 15 feet. Is usually more than enough room to fit all of them. So I'll leave that up to the planning board. If you'd like us to do that, we'd be happy to do it.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Rick?
I think it sounds good. In Matt, in your experience, if 10 to 15 feet is adequate to store all the carts, then it sounds satisfactory to me.
It should be. We'll just go with 15 if you guys are okay with that, and make sure that we have enough room. This is a bigger store than some of the other ones out there, so they should have room in the back, but who knows if they'll keep them in the back of the store. They'll rather be safe than sorry.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we're talking about the dumpster enclosure and containing, aside from extending the enclosure, condition that any racks or anything like that be stored in, a contained area. You don't end up on the sidewalk or pavement or other areas. I think I'd also ask for that condition. Similarly, the other condition, and this would be a question in terms of Dollar General management of storefront. Is a condition that, you know, no additional items on the sidewalk, you know, retail racks or anything like that. Acceptable.
We've imposed that on Dollar General and many other stores as well.
Okay. And then I noted the dumpster enclosure, you call it the wood, just a standard wood enclosure. Painted, stained. To match the building.
What would you like to use, Matt?
Stain usually lasts better than paint does. Paint often can start peeling. But that's up, again, we'll do whatever color or stain you'd like us to do.
I think the biggest key is, I mean, calls out for a wood enclosure. It's in detail. It's definitely more of what we asked for in our last meeting than like a vinyl enclosure. I guess whatever's going to be the most durable long term. You know, the one thing I will say is driving past the US Ave, I didn't note this before, but that's an actual block and brick enclosure. Yes, what would durability? I guess that's the question, is what's going to hold up with your tent.
The woods with a decent stain on it is probably the best bet. When we've done block before, and we can fix a wood fence really quickly if the dumpster company hits it. Takes a little longer and is more difficult to fix when they hit a block enclosure. Vinyl was definitely not the way to go, especially up there. It gets cold and it cracks. So you know, we've had the best luck with stained wood.
One question I just have is on the swing of the dumpster door, the bollard doesn't let it open past where people could walk in front of it on that pad. I just didn't know if that would be a problem or kind of creates like a doorstop.
Is that intentional? Is that bollard there to keep the
Keep someone from hitting the fence, but.
To kind of keep the truck driver.
Keep the
from
truck driver
hitting
from-
you.
Yeah,
Okay.
understandable. I just didn't know if it would actually, I don't know. If it interferes with the swing, that then you can't get that door open, that you can walk around it without.
Oh, I wasn't looking at detail.
That's just a mark that you just have to walk out on.
Okay. Okay.
With that said, you know, you're likely to have a dumpster enclosure that's at least 10 feet longer than the existing one here.
Mhm.
What would the proposed door setup or management be? The one problem that is I've seen driving past this site in our city, those doors never shut. They're always left open, you know what I mean? It's with seeing we're asking for a larger enclosure, you know, would you have like a,
I think you'd end up with an extra door on the long or on the short side to put your carts in.
Yeah, that's what we've done in the past, is put a door on the short side, just so that they're not connected and those carts don't come out of there.
so in that case, an associate could use that door instead of leaving the main doors open.
Correct.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. That sounds good. Any other, I do have some other comments, but I think that addresses the dumpster and the sidewalk area around the building. Any other comments in that item?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, you go first.
oh, I was gonna say, I don't see, so for the wood fence that's screening the parking from the mobile home property. New 6-foot tall wood fence, see detail. It's probably just intended to be similar to the. Dumpster detail, and so the note would apply for the same stain and all that to match. Just want to make sure they all connect and gets the same treatment.
What is that?
Just the fence detail,
Okay.
making sure that
That is the intent. We can make sure that's reflected.
get your contractor not fitting the steel fence panel to some dumpster and then.
Can I ask how you guys are heating the building?
Sorry, did you say heating the building?
Yeah,
It would be rooftop units on top of the building, 2 10-ton units and 1 5-ton unit.
I guess I don't know what that means. Is that,
Sorry, it's a standard rooftop forced air furnace type units.
okay,
Likely natural gas.
Yes, I can't remember if natural gas is in the road. If it is, then we'll be using that.
yeah, because I think that goes to the new base. Everyone has natural gas there.
For sure it
They
does.
won't have access to it from the front side though.
No,
No. So it'd have to come off, it would have to come off Route 9 US Ave
oh,
somewhere.
okay.
Like her.
Because I was just seeing that MLD approved the load, and then I was wondering if that included an electrified building load. And I was wondering if you're considering that.
No, we're not going to be using electric heaters if that's what you're asking. Those use a massive amount of power. It would be natural gas. And oh,
Chief. You can put a rebate. The rebate program.
I don't know. I don't know about for businesses. Yeah.
Can't control building efficiency in the planning board. Unfortunately.
I know. I was just asking.
As far as this is for staff, the building elevation and some of the other items we saw in previous meeting. If we can have those added into the final package that comes forward, that they're actually a part of. And included.
Yeah, how come they're not part of these sets? Is it just because as planning board you filtered out like the?
Give it to you last time.
Oh, it's just the
That's-
same.
That's right, yeah.
It's just the
It's
same.
all the
Okay.
same.
Yeah.
So
Unchanged.
many times it does end up incorporating afterwards.
Mhm,
In this case, I just asking what it does.
mhm.
Make it a lot easier for building staff. If they're looking at this and they have to enforce it.
Yeah.
That is part of one package.
Mhm. There's the RGUs popping up there, Carly, the yellow
Okay.
chimneys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Matt, I mean, so both Carly and myself have experience working with the energy efficiency rebate program up here, so you can reach out through Alicia if you have any questions. It's the IEEP is.
Okay.
And so you might get some money back for like your lighting, rooftop units through them if they still have their commercial program open.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're gonna do all internal LEDs, right?
It's all LEDs internal. Yes.
Is there a note on the plans about maintaining the tree vegetation on the south?
We have a line for tree line remaining, line for there. So
I think that's in the first page.
Okay, I just noted that with the chip comment. I think I saw something, the building inspector made a comment. about
That was gonna be
as
one
well.
of my questions too, yeah.
That's about right up for me.
Yeah,
Okay,
look at C100 right on the bottom. Now there's down by the. I think it's a municipal pump station.
okay,
okay,
that's what we thought,
That's
yeah.
electricity.
okay. My last question, then I'll let staff or let the rest of the board go through if there's any other is. There's this discussion on enforcement of delivery times. That's a note on the plan.
The note says, this was requested by staff last time.
Okay,
It says. All store inventory deliveries will be made outside peak retail hours. That doesn't mean that the store is closed, but. More likely to be at 7 in the morning than it's 5 o'clock at night when we're stopping.
Yeah.
And if I may, for clarification,
Please.
I was not recommending, the recommendation wasn't that wording, but because the applicant stated that that would be the case for deliveries, and that's how they would maintain pedestrian and vehicle safety when the delivery trucks entered onto the site and were backing up, then it was a request that be added to the plan. If
Okay. That's a condition.
And that was, I believe, at the sketch phase. Where that was reviewed and the recommendation made.
Thoughts on enforcement of that?
It's gonna be next to impossible to enforce that. These are the largest trucks to provide deliveries. And I have seen in my own personal experience where deliveries can be made, are made during daytime hours. And do crossover parking spaces. I honestly don't know how all of that can be avoided unless the entire site is expanded to better accommodate such a truck. Widening of the drive entrance is a possibility, but right now the drive entrance is 28 feet wide. The maximum that our code allows without additional approval is 30 feet, I believe. So right now it's pushing its max, and it's an adequate size in my opinion for regular vehicles, passenger vehicles. So it's possible that the board may want to request delivery schedules, or, the frequency of delivery, to further review this. But this situation is common with many other stores of this size. Larger, like grocery store chains, trucks will deliver to the rear of the store and have an actual drive around.
You have the same on any gas station where they're delivering fuel. You're in the same situation. They do that.
Would-
the day as well. So,
Would the trucks not just back in off of 9?
no, they're not allowed.
They're not allowed to do that.
Say, yeah, usually.
They'd be blocking.
back up and
But if you look.
I can, yeah, sure. And many gas stations have an entrance and an exit.
Can you go back? So this truck is coming in this way,
Mhm.
looping around, and it's backing up that way, so at no point are they actually crossing a parking space. While they're backing up, until they get to the very end, which realistically, those are the spaces that are already parked at Dollar General, unless it's employees.
So Alicia, what's your concern with this proposed?
Well, initially, the parking.
Oh, sorry.
The parking space, the number of required parking
Was greater.
spaces were greater
Yep.
before.
Yep.
And I think before it showed, that last space that where it's hatched out was, included in the
Yes.
proposed number, I believe.
Yes.
The other concern is just pedestrian safety as a truck is backing up.
Yeah.
On
Okay.
site. So,
Yep.
and with that, I'll let Rick jump in.
Oh, and is that what you mean by other places have like a wrap around? The truck is never backing up, it's always going forward?
For, grocery stores where I've
Yeah,
observed this, yes, larger format stores, yes. Not necessarily at, another convenience scale store like a Stewart's maybe, or Needs Drug.
If I could comment, really quickly, we've gotten the request for off-peak deliveries, a number of times in the past. We do make it a restriction, and Dollar General does put it on their delivery, schedule as a restriction. I've never gotten a call. I can't say that they've never delivered during peak hours in one of those stores, but I've never gotten a call from a town saying that they're violating that restriction. And I get calls about random things all the time. But I will say that this truck, this large truck, is a once a week delivery. The rest of the trucks would be small box trucks, like a Frito-Lay's truck comes in once a week, and a Coca-Cola truck might come in once or twice a week. But the actual delivery truck is once a week.
Yes, if Matt, if you're acceptable to the condition, then, we can leave it on the plan.
Yeah, they'll follow it, and it doesn't hurt. It only helps any possibility of any issue on site. So I have no problem with it from my end.
Okay.
Rick? Yes, Rick?
Hi, I just wanted to make the point off this topic. In the site plan approval process, we are not approving the sign that was talked about previously in previous meetings. Just wanted to make certain that as part of the motion, it's understood that we're not approving the sign permit process will take care of the sign approval.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay.
And from my end, if the board prefers that masonry monument sign that I passed along, that's what's already been provided to Dollar General as the required sign. So that's what they'll go in as. I just wanted to make sure that that's what you wanted, that one, rather than a pylon looking sign.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
My opinion is, as long as it's not a visual impairment, then I'm okay. It looks good.
Okay.
Last comment in regards to the truck maneuvering. I know we've talked about this narrow drive before, but has DOT come back and they still have they reviewed
That's
this?
what they want, and DOTs will not allow a driveway typically wider than, I believe, 30 feet as well.
And they're okay with the truck going over the lawn to get, I mean, you'd have to shoehorn it. I mean, well, get the perfect driver to,
That's only from one direction.
yeah. Then they'll drive over your curb stop.
I think they can make this, but this is what what DOT wanted, and this is the layout they wanted.
So that's the layout that one.
I like that the sidewalk reflects it's hanging back there from the corner, it cuts way over, like, it's out of the way, but
I
yeah.
think that's the new DOT guidance, right, to make shorter pedestrian crossings, so you're not.
We have a number of locations where we would really like to have a right turn out. a left
Sure.
turn out, they
Sure.
do.
Yeah.
So.
Is that true for this location? You can only go leave in one direction?
Well, you can,
You can leave.
I'm saying that you would have a right turn lane and a left turn lane out. And they won't allow that, so. Problem is that everybody sits behind one guy that's trying to go against traffic.
Left.
Oh, okay, sorry, I understand. Thank you.
And again, we submitted the actual drawings for this DOT, I believe, back in January. So.
What's the grade coming into the site? Coming up the drive?
I believe
That's
it's shown on
detail
the
sheet.
profile.
On the detail sheet?
Yeah.
4%. 105 profiles center language.
I mean, I don't know if they have a lot of option on it, but you good with the tractor trailer, I mean, getting in off of 11
4%.
or up
4% is DOT meets their requirements for it.
I've seen it in others where those big trucks can't.
If
you
you get a
all
low
four,
light,
yeah.
it might be. But these trucks are plug-in, they're SUV.
No, you put snow and ice on there and that. Actually, to tell you the truth, I've seen another location where. They say the trucks can't back in off the route, but they actually do because it's an issue. Of the grade coming in the drive, but. It, once again, if that's what DOT is, it's.
The engineers and.
No, it's. Let's do that.
Bringing the experience to it.
Okay. That was my comments. Any other comments from the board, questions?
I appreciate the iterations that we've gone through to come up with, pleasantly landscaped. Really, I think what'll look like a nice building along the roadway from where we started, so. It's, I think, well worth it in my opinion, and stormwater planning, all of the above, so. Thank you.
Making the nicest Dollar General in town.
You're welcome.
I mean, there's function to all of it too.
Yeah.
It's.
No, I agree.
So with that said, and no other board comments, questions, then we do have. A proposed. Seeker form.
I had that, we should hold a public hearing.
So I guess we'll move to open the public hearing then, or is it still open from the last?
We never held the public hearing.
We did not hold that, okay. Then I'll move to open a public hearing for any comments from the public. Okay, with no one commenting and no one online.
Nobody's online, but I would like to remind the board that we did receive comments much earlier via email. And you have the 3 comments included as addendums to your packet. From July 12th. We received 2 comments, and then July 15th was another. These have previously been provided to the board, and they're included in the project folder online as well.
I guess as part of the public comment period, these can be entered into the record.
Yes, they could be, yeah.
I think that makes sense to enter them as part of the record. that they were reviewed. With that said, with no one offering any further comment, I'm going to close the public hearing. We do have a short form seeker, which we have reviewed in pre-meeting, and then we do have some information that had some questions from the board before we get into the overall review. I think we want to address acreage.
Yeah, we can talk about that. So, Matt, do you all have a final size of the site disturbed that you've landed on at this point?
I would defer to Aaron on that, on the exact size. I don't recall what it was, and I apologize, I don't have anything with me out here.
And I didn't bring all that with me,
That's okay, yeah.
but I think we're very close to 1.1 acre. That's
Okay.
the overall disturbed area.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna be able to tell you off the top of my head is what the final hardscape number ended up being. It's slightly more than what was in that seeker.
Okay.
Because the driveway got a little bit longer, but it also got a little bit narrower at the end, so it's probably
Yeah.
not too far.
Okay, yeah, I'm farthest from the expert on this, but I just noted that I remember
Yeah.
earlier in this process, we talked about there's. Thing one you have to do if you're under one, thing two you have to do if you're over one, so I guess I'll be aware of those limits. Right. That makes sense, and then staff is advised that that's all in line with what we need for the seeker and everything like that, so as long as that's addressed, then I think we're fine.
May I provide a detail?
Sure, yeah.
On C 106,
Yeah,
the soil erosion and sediment control plan does call out the perimeter silt fence,
okay,
which is difficult. Has an area of disturbance of 1.34 acres.
got it,
Like 3 4.
okay. Oh, I see that there. Thank you.
So we can update that, 3B. Part 1 is
Mhm.
1.34 acres. I think that was the only item of question.
Yeah, that was the major one I had.
Okay. With that said, staff has put together the supporting information. If staff can guide us through the part 2.
Okay. So I have a blank short environmental assessment form part 2 that I will be reading through. There are 11 quick questions that I've got to go through. And if I don't hear response for if a question would relate to a moderate to large impact, I will assume that there's no or a small impact that would occur in response. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? Will the proposed action impact existing A, public or private water supplies? B, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, for example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources for humans? So, seeing that there, all of the responses are no or small impact, or that a small impact may occur, then the box that states, if you determine based on the information and analysis above and any supporting documentation that proposed action will not result in a significant adverse environmental impact, I will check that box. And then you may proceed with resolution 24-08A.
So we do have a draft resolution 24-08A for findings on the seeker. Having reviewed, completed the part 2, a motion.
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution 24-08A as outlined by staff.
A second,
I'll second it.
roll call.
Jim Abdallah.
Yes.
Rick Perry.
Yes.
Abby Musser,
Yes.
Tom Castro,
Yes.
Carly Leary.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. With completion of the seeker, we do have a resolution 24-08B for approval of the site plan with conditions. Anybody would like to make a motion? We've been keeping a running list of conditions or any that are outside of staff's write-up, but are you interested in making a motion?
I had to step out for a second, so I feel like I might have missed something, but
I didn't hear that on what.
I didn't either.
I was just saying, I don't feel like I caught everything, so I don't want to.
Can we quickly discuss the things that we,
Sure.
let's make a list, unless you feel like you can do it, Abby.
No, I think we better from the list. So, I mean, we have staff comments, what I was thinking about was the DOT approval, I mean. As well, right, if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and that's in the staff
And that's in the
comments.
staff's comments.
That's the first one. I think that we want all of the bolded staff comments. Except the portable bike rack possibly, because it is going to be a bolted down bike rack.
That's, staff recommendation November 17.
Yeah,
Yeah, do we want to remove that one?
yeah, I believe Aaron's explanation satisfied the intent of.
Yeah, I agree. Okay,
And then we're widening the what,
dumpster
dumpster concealment area, so that's not the real term for it.
concealment area.
Enclosure.
Closure, thank you.
Gonna say we're widening the dumpster enclosure. It's gonna have a secondary access off of
Yeah.
off of the end of the dumpster for staff access. We discussed the condition that all racks and retail equipment, anything like that would be stored in a contained area or inside.
Mhm.
Front sidewalk can be covered in any kind of retail use or sale. items.
Yeah.
Are you requesting that to be a note on plat as well?
The condition. And condition of the approval. We're gonna add the building elevations to the plan package what we saw in the past would be incorporated into the overall plan package. All staff notes and conditions. I guess except for, it sounds like one has been removed. One about the bike rack, I believe.
Mhm.
I believe New York State DOT, the New York State DOT access permit in compliance with DOT recommendations. That's all part of staff comments already.
Mhm.
We discussed leaving delivery times in the plan. So
Mhm.
we're leaving that. And we noted that it is noted on the plan about tree vegetation on the south side remaining.
Is that an additional condition? And it's already included.
It's already included as part of the approval of the plan.
Landscaping notes. That they need to be changed, we'll talk about how they are.
Oh.
Thank you.
Right, what they wrote satisfies what you were getting at, Alicia?
So staff comment number 9. 9.1. Has been, appears to have been satisfied. 9.2. Was a new recommendation from staff based on the revised landscape plan to provide 3 different seed mixes.
Got it, but there's not the details enough to show that they're not on the invasive species list and they're not to show the growing zones. Yeah, got it.
I mean, you could potentially go to the extra effort, look up these specific mixes,
Yeah,
pull down the species, and then do your own homework.
Yeah.
But there's no information, correct?
yeah.
Any other items that any,
So sorry, are we including the invasive, sorry to interrupt you, are we including the invasives in the growing zone? As one of our conditions?
This would be part of the staff comments, so we would be saying we're not including bullet point 1, but we are including bullet point 2.
Okay. Thank you.
One other comment that was made by the planning board was from Rick Perry. To emphasize that the approval of the site plan does not merit or does not approve the proposed signage. But it is an approval of the sign detail. I'm not sure if you all want to include that as a condition.
yes,
Yes. Yeah, because I want them to keep it that brick.
And then you all also discussed that the standard wood enclosure for the receptacle be stained to match the building. And expanded that conversation to the perimeter wooden fencing as well.
Yeah. Enclosure and fencing match, and then matching to the building. Color scheme.
any other items? If not, we have a list now. I believe staff has been
I'll see if
Keeping
I've been
track of.
keeping track as well. But Barb, do you have a good list?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks about it.
Okay.
Barb.
Do you
Barb
wanna
is the
designate-
secretary, so we've got to
Yeah.
confirm
Yeah.
with her that she's got it down.
It is great now, it's.
I was gonna say, do you want to designate that the enclosure, the access will be on the short side and all of that?
Good
Like,
point.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Oops,
So with that said, we do have draft resolution 24-08B for approval of the site plan with conditions. They're discussing the conditions. Do we have a motion?
Give it a shot. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 24-08B containing staff report comments and planning board comments as just discussed.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call.
Jim Abdallah.
Yeah.
Rick Perry.
Yes.
Abby Musser.
Yes.
Tom Cosgrove.
Yes.
Carly Leary.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job, Tom.
So that's why I appreciate you taking all the notes and us re-discussing it, and so that way Aaron can hear this. And I can too. Thank you. Safe drive.
So we do have. Has all planning board members signed the bylaws?
I believe so.
Yes.
We did it last time.
Out.
We were forced to come here for a meeting last night.
I guess that's part, that's actually part of.
So just have to
the-
kick anybody out.
I'm looking at the old agenda, Jim.
Oh, the meeting minutes from last time.
Yeah, this one's just a one pager. You're looking at the two
Yeah,
pager.
these are the meeting notes.
Yeah.
I wrote my notes on it.
I was looking at.
I noticed partway through, but I was like, he's still doing good.
I
It's
was- I
fine.
was looking at the same thing.
Other business.
I don't really have any other business to report back. We did get a subdivision application submitted for this project property and the neighboring property to cure the boundary line issue. And that it is required, to the best of my knowledge, it's required for the sale of the property.
Sure.
From the current owners to the Uzalitos. And so the request is that we can move that through as quickly as possible, so they can move forward to closing. But the board is required to follow their state procedure. Unfortunately, we can't, it can't be a combined review because the board just completed this site plan
Sure.
review. But it's mostly a complete application with the minor details that I'm waiting on. But I fully expect that will be moving forward to at the next board meeting. And then we had another couple inquiries for applications, but we haven't received the full applications back yet, so. It's probably just going to be a subject property and the neighboring property again for the subdivision proposal. The zoning update, that's continues to move along. It's very detailed. Typically, we would have a full packet meeting tomorrow night. However, that meeting has been canceled due to kind of illness and but we're trying to calibrate from some missed meetings and the amount of work that still remains to be completed, and are going to try and do as much internal review and review over email and at the work sessions as possible, we might go back to extending our Thursday work sessions to full days. Just not this week, and then target hopefully having a full draft by April 22nd for the next full planning advisory committee meeting. Fingers crossed. There's a lot of loose ends to tie up, but I think it's definitely achievable. And then that will, go into the full public review process with the final workshop, the presentation to council, final feedback, and then final revisions. So fingers crossed, we're getting to the home stretch.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think I'm signed up for the alerts for that, for the workshops and stuff, but will you still let us know when they're happening? Like
Yeah,
the public,
for the public workshop.
yeah, like I would like to learn about what all the changes that they're finalizing on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And the public, anybody who's not a member of the PAC can sit in on our whole PAC meetings as well. They've been held virtually. So it's similar to the format here where only the members can speak, but the public can listen in.
Got
So, yeah. Any other questions, comments, feedback?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think this is a big accomplishment getting this one through. We've been working on this for
I know.
9 months.
I know.
We just had a baby. Exciting reading through the part two. I'm like, we did that too because of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really just, there's no fight about it. You just have to do your due diligence and scrutinize it and ask. So you just see what could be for other communities or areas that maybe don't have the same level of
Yeah. And I
Oversight.
recall the town
engagement.
telling relaying that information that they're like, you would be amazed what you can ask for and they'll provide. So.
Giving us confidence.
You guys did a good job. In my opinion.
Thank you. Thanks for
Well, I was gonna say,
details in there.
Yeah.
you are giving us a lot of guidance, so thanks.
With that said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Just keep it going, Tom. You've been making them all.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Bye.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your time away.
In Florida, it is.
Well, I was just gonna ask if you was in Florida, yeah,
Can or burn.
yeah.
Tomorrow afternoon is North Country Center for Independence Board meeting, so
Oh, there you go.
my work will then be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Rick.
It's kind of cute right now.